this is Christina Barr, and you're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today is Caucus Day in Iowa, so it is a big day, and we will see who wins, if Trump does what all the polling suggests, if someone will pull ahead. I haven't been too confident about the polls. It seems like the mainstream media is kind of trying to hedge their bets. They're talking about the weather and all those sorts of things can come into play, but it seems like anything is possible today. So we'll see who are the faithful and who come out and support their candidate. And will there be some upsets? It's do or die, kind of make or break with this whole caucus. So we shall see. Also, Trump and Vivek going at it. Trump came for Vivek. And Vivek is like, oh, I'm not coming at, I won't attack Trump, which he's kind of has. He's just kind of doing it more subtly. So we'll be talking about his interesting strategy and why Trump decided to pounce. Also, I didn't talk to you guys about the debate with Nikki Haley and DeSantis. I took a hiatus last week. I only was streamed Monday, which I'll explain why. I'll probably save that tale for the end. So I guess wait in anticipation, I guess, for that explanation. But anyway, thank you guys for your patience, and it's good to be back. There were so many things I wanted to still go live and stream about and talk about anyway, but glad for the little break, and it's a serious big week for news. So anyway, before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate, because it does cost to stream, it costs to run my website, all that stuff, so you guys can support. I do very much appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. You guys can check out different merch on my store, like the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For t-shirt. People really like that. I got my goat hoodies and goat t-shirts. I got this Denounce White Supremacy, Defeat Joe Biden shirt with a list of some of his racism on the back and other kinds of stuff, like the You Are Not That Special. I got that in a mug. All kinds of things you guys can check out at the website. I do have many books that I've written. You guys can check me out on Amazon. I have 17 altogether. One of them is, of course, God is Blatantly Gets Abortion, but you guys can get that on Barnes & Noble as well. My other nonfiction is Slay Your Fear, How to Overcome a Spirit of Fear, which is a faith book, but the rest of my books are they're fiction. They range from historical fiction, fantasy, which Black History Month is coming up, so imagine X-Men meets the American Civil War, and that's kind of the story that you get with that. So there's stuff for middle grade chapter books all the way to new adult. So go ahead and check my stuff out. If you go to the website, there's a banner that'll take you to my book website, all that stuff. Anyway, I don't have a meme for you guys today. So I want to mention the debate a little bit with Nikki Haley and DeSantis, and Vivek didn't qualify for the debate. Trump just didn't want to show up. He hasn't participated in the debates. He actually had a town hall the same time as Nikki Haley and DeSantis. So they had a 1v1, and it was a cat fight from the get-go. And it seemed like some people are like, oh, DeSantis is killing her. I didn't feel that way at first, because I still think he's so natural in interviews, but he's a little, I don't know, not as comfortable on the debate stage, and of course, they all have their kind of talking points that they're trying to get out. I feel like he's gotten better. Going back and watching the first debate or some parts of it again, I was pretty critical of that performance, perhaps overly critical, but it didn't seem like it had a good flow to it, I guess, but it got better. And she definitely floundered a lot. People were mocking her she made a website that was DeSantisLies.com, and she mentioned it like 20 times. Um, and she started to say that DeSantis was demeaning her. Now, I've had a lot of issues with Nikki Haley, and a lot of people have started to say like never Nikki, which Rand Paul um, and that made a website that was never Nikki, and that was actually trending online. So a lot of people feel that way and don't want Nikki Haley to win it all, and will say if she's the VP with Trump, then they won't support, or if she's a candidate, they'll vote for, the third party, or they'll leave it blank. So many people are against Nikki Haley. We'll have to see what ends up happening. But she wants to play that I'm the strong woman. We need a different kind of touch, identity politics. And people, whether on the right they want to admit it or not, sometimes they're into identity politics and they think, oh, would it be good if we had a woman on the, oh, would it, oh, cool, there's a black person who showed up to this event. They think about it, they do. But some people are just, they don't mention it and they let other people just kind of notice that they're black, that they're a woman or whatever. And some people like lean into it pretty heavily. And so she's, like, I'm the woman on stage, my heels have ammunition, whatever the heck that means. And if you're going to do that, then don't be whiny. And she kept saying that Ron DeSantis was demeaning her during that debate. And he wasn't. He treated her like he would treat anybody else. And the only thing he did was hold her to her record. And he would mention, she'll say something and then she'll lie. And he gave specific examples. One specific example was how she said that she was inspired by Hillary Clinton. DeSantis mentioned that, and then it was mentioned on TV, and she's like, I never said that, which wasn't the case. Not only did she say that she was inspired by Hillary Clinton, she wrote it down in a book. And not only did she write it down in a book, she recorded that book. She did the narration. So not only is there audio and actual like writing on physical pages, she has mentioned it on different interviews. So there's multiple interviews with her talking about how Hillary Clinton inspired her. And that's fine if that's true. Like, honestly, it is, because if you're a woman who ran for office, you saw another woman run for office, it's that simple. You don't have to lie. It's kind of like, I understand why Ron would use that attack, because who likes Hillary Clinton? Nobody. Like, nobody. Pretty much, right? But you could easily just say, yeah, you don't have to be ideologically aligned with someone to be inspired by them. That's all you had to say. You don't have to lie and say, I never said that I was inspired by her. And not only was she inspired by Hillary Clinton, there's an interview with her saying that she was inspired to run, and then after that she needed to figure out whether she was a Republican or a Democrat. So she wanted to run for office before she even really knew the issues, I guess, or what side of the aisle that she was going to lean on. So if she, begs the question, if she was in a blue state, would she be like, better opportunity here, let me be a Democrat? I don't know, because she's a pretty soft Republican, and I definitely am concerned about I wouldn't say she's aligned with a lot of things as a conservative, or not strong enough. So DeSantis just pointed to her record, and she would say that he's demeaning me. And she was calling him a liar. She kind of alleged that, not that he was anti-Semitic, but that he was not as firm as supporting Israel as he could be, because Thomas Massie was going around supporting him. And Thomas Massie has, voted down some things, which Thomas Massie always explains why he votes down things, whether it's too much money or he was concerned about free speech rights. There was one meme I didn't like from Thomas Massie that he posted, but I don't think it was because he is anti-Semitic, but he's just like questioning. It was a Drake meme, and he's like, And so it was like patriotism was like turned away, and then Zionism was like this. So I would assume the point of his meme was there's a lot of people in politics who aren't too keen on America, but they're very keen on, sending money over for the Iron Dome and other sorts of stuff, but they don't have their eyes or focus on American citizens. Not that you can't do both, but there's a disdain for one or an apathy for one, and you're in the tank for the other. That's what I assume is the purpose of the meme. I don't think he has hate in his heart for a group or something. But I wasn't fond of the meme myself. But Nikki Haley wouldn't even mention Thomas Massie by name and was trying to do guilt by association. So she was doing stuff like that to DeSantis, but kept complaining about how he was demeaning her. So it just came off really weak, very whiny. And so she didn't get the best out of that debate. At one point, Ron called her out for not, supporting, stopping the trans agenda with the kids and stuff. And she's like, I've always said that you have to go in this bathroom or that bathroom. And then I'm like, look, like yelling at the TV. I'm like, Ron, say something about her killing the bill. Say something about her killing the bill. And I was so glad that he turned around and said, when you were governor, you killed a bathroom bill. And then I think she tried to say that he was lying or something, and then they came back to her and she's like, when it came to that bill, it was 10 years ago. And I was like, what? I think at that point of time, my youngest sister Tina had came into the room, and she was just baffled. I'm looking baffled. We're like, yes, you killed you can't just say, oh, that was 10 years ago. Just admit that you did what you did. So anyway, Nikki Haley is not built for this, not made for this. I'm not saying that she wouldn't win a general election. I'm not saying that she wouldn't eventually do well, but I think in primaries you want to vote for the person that you agree with the most conservative person who can win. And I think there's other people who can win a general election who's more conservative than Nikki Haley. So if we were at a place where you just had to be as moderate as possible and she was the only option, that would be one thing. But there's definitely better people in the fight than Nikki Haley. So I hope she doesn't do well today, just to be frank. I hope she doesn't do well. So I'm just going to be blunt today. I'm not a fan. Especially when she will just blatantly lie about something that we've all seen on video that just happened. Not something reaching back in time, something that was said like a couple days ago or something. And then she'll insist that someone is lying over and over again. And at that point in time, that's not about you trying to get one over on your opponent. That's you disrespecting me. That's you disrespecting the voters. That's you disrespecting our intelligence. There's different love languages and stuff. And respect is, I'll say respect is my love language. If you're gonna lie to me, then we got an issue. We have an issue. So again, she could just say, yes, I said that we need to look at social media, have people register by name. I've rethought the issue and I've changed my mind or something. You don't have to just be like, I didn't say that. We all heard you say it multiple times. She said it on Fox, and she said it on the Ruthless podcast. And I've played the videos before. I could do a whole compilation of Nikki Haley lying about different things. I won't today. There's other things to get to, but we have looked at this stuff before. Never back down, Ron DeSantis. They've made several. You can find them easily on Twitter. So Nikki Haley is an issue. Nikki Haley is an issue. By the way, I mean Vivek has some stuff like that, but not like Nikki. Nikki is like really ridiculous with this stuff. Um and Vivek will go like, "Oh, well there's the context of this blah blah blah." Nikki will just whine. Like I didn't she's just not good at this. She's just not good at this. So another thing, there was a poll that came out this weekend. I was looking at it on Sunday, and it had Trump as number one, and Nikki Haley was like at number two. Trump is still like 20 points ahead, and Nikki was like I think at like in the 20s, and Ron was like at 16. Vivek was like at 8. And in the internal like polling, her supporters are like independents, Democrats, very low enthusiasm for her to actually go out and vote. And they asked them like in a matchup of Trump and Biden, who would you pick? And they picked Biden. So I'm like, this poll really seems like trash, unless there's gonna be just like a plethora of Democrats, because you can like register apparently as a for a day. Um, so you could have Democrats or whatever who decide to register. I know an independent who's registering to go, not to vote for. Actually, she didn't tell me who she's voting for. I just know she's going to caucus. So I just don't think, especially with it being so cold. It's cold here in Michigan. It was like I think it's like 3 degrees. It was like -4 earlier. Um, so I know it's cold, frigid, and um you just got to be enthusiastic, and I just don't see her people being enthusiastic to go out there and support her, especially with the bomb after bomb after bomb. Online I never see people who really support Haley. I do know some people in real life. Actually, I've had like one conversation with someone who told me they liked Haley. I've had a conversation with someone that they said their wife and some of their friends liked Nikki Haley. I feel like if I had time with them, I could dismantle their whole worldview. But I don't personally think I know anyone besides one person who said that they liked Haley, but that was like person who said that was like weeks ago. So I don't know how much even people who are pretty political don't pay attention to the day by day and are not chronically online like I guess I am, and probably you guys who bother to listen to people give commentary about this stuff every day. So there I don't know if all the bombs that she's had just one after another are registering in people's minds, but to me it's like unconscionable to kind of go the route of Haley, cuz she's just will be eaten alive, and a lot of if things like this keep repeating, I suppose even into the general, if she was more polished and honest and savvy, then I guess those things wouldn't be a concern. But um like the whole slavery thing, that was a huge concern. I talked to someone who was leaning Haley, said they liked Haley, and they were just so taken aback by that situation. So I think they're not probably in that camp anymore. But yeah, just pretty wild stuff. Anyway, I don't know what's gonna happen today. I would love to give you guys some prediction, but I really don't like to be wrong. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. All I can tell you is that the polls say that Trump is going to be far ahead, though there's reports about DeSantis's ground game that it's like Obama level tight, which by the way, GOP people like field staff, they would have them read books and study Obama's ground game and his campaign. So that's good that it's fashioned that way, but are people still going to turn out? I don't know. Does he still have he's worked in Iowa more than anywhere else. So it's going to be really bad if he doesn't win. Um Haley, some people think she still has legs and other paths and options if she does well in Iowa. let's say she got second and Trump wins or whatever, that she could go on, maybe win New Hampshire, and if Trump doesn't sweep the early states, if she gets other places, she could do well. I don't know. But this is a big moment for DeSantis. Now, I can't remember if it was Chip Roy or Massey who said that they thought that DeSantis should stay in until convention. If that's the case, then um, they could be just fighting until the point of some of these indictments come down for Trump, or the legal stuff starts looking um I don't know, a bit more serious. I mean, it's serious now, but as trials and other things start ramping up, will there have to be other options? It seems like everybody's strategy is a little bit like, we don't know if he's going to be the nominee. So let me just stay in here a little bit. And Vivek apparently is that way too, which we'll get to. And it's not a bad plan, I guess. And for the voters who are like, oh, that's so terrible, them waiting in the wings. No, it is a good thing to actually have options. And if Trump at some point becomes like unsalvageable, a backup plan isn't a bad thing. So staying in might be the responsible thing to do. But here's a problem with that. If it gets to some kind of floor fight and Trump just blew everybody out of the water, I don't that could really mess up the general election anyway. Even if it was Nikki or DeSantis or whoever. Would everyone just come around and rally? It depend how the convention went. If it's more of a ghetto mess than like the whole Bernie situation, that the Democrats, there are people so mad. I know people who were pro Bernie and hate Donald Trump, still went out and voted straight party ticket Republican because they didn't appreciate how the DNC treated Bernie in 2016. So if there's any sort of retaliation against Trump like that, it's not going to go well for the general election. I think we're in a pretty volatile situation. Even if Trump gets destroyed somehow in the primaries, it could still not bode well for the general election, depending on how he'll take it. I do want to mention this particular rumor before moving on, that Trump is going to actually have Haley be his VP. And that's a rumor. It's been a rumor, but I heard an interesting rumor last night that it's kind of a done deal. He did say at one point that his VP selection has already been made. He said that, I think, at the Iowa town hall. Trump has been asked about Haley and he hasn't said no, I don't think. And Haley will not say, or has not said, that she would turn him down. And that's part of why he had a slew of endorsements the other day. So, and people are just kind of getting in line, and that she will drop out before South Carolina and it'll be announced or something. So I don't know if that's the case. I thought it was an interesting rumor, especially if, I don't know, maybe let's say Vivek heard about that rumor, and that's part of the reason why he's saying we don't need to get stuck in a plot, in a trap where it's Trump and the puppet. Therefore, vote for me, or we might fall into that trap. Because to me, Vivek is kind of having his strategy has shifted, unless I've missed something. But there's a shift in his approach, saying outright, like, do not vote for him, vote for me. Like, it was like, I'm here, I'm a good Trump's did a good job, but we need something else, like, vote for me. Now he's saying Trump is going to meet his demise. They're not going to allow him to be the president. We don't want a puppet installed. Support me. So he's a lot more aggressive in his approach. Could that be why? Perhaps that's why Rand Paul came out with his Never Nikki. Maybe heard about it and wants to try to persuade Trump to not have Nikki be the VP, because he made an announcement that he's going to say something about the race. And I was speculating, like, is he going to endorse Trump? Is he going to endorse Ron? And my mind was going. My mind was really going. I'm like, what if he's the VP for Trump? And I'm like, I'd rather him be a senator, but I don't totally hate it. And so I was just like, I'm like, what is going to happen? What's going to happen? And so I don't know if other people were as nearly as interested in their mind was whirling as much as mine was. But my mind was whirling when Rand Paul made that announcement. The next day, he announces that he likes Trump, he likes DeSantis, he likes Vivek, and he hasn't picked a favorite, but he doesn't like Nikki, and he's never Nikki. And he made a thread and he made a website detailing why he's never Nikki. And it was a very flat announcement to me, because I'm like, anyone who knows Rand Paul knows that he would not support Nikki Haley. So this was a waste of my nerves, I guess, or my anticipation and all this stuff. So I guess the rumor makes it a little more interesting. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. And I don't know. There's a lot of Trump people who are very upset about that possibility, who have claimed that they will not support Trump if he puts her on a ticket. I don't know how many people mean that sincerely. I don't know. But whoever Trump does pick, it is important, just like it's important for Biden, because they're both elderly gentlemen. And just to be frank, who knows how long they shall serve. I mean, Biden will have, if he wins again, he'll have another 4 years, and who knows if he'll last all that time. And if not, and if Trump, whoever he picks, he's elderly too. I don't know. And then if he's and if he is the president and Nikki Haley is the vice president, what are the odds that he gets impeached again and it's a successful impeachment? Considering he's already been impeached twice, is it kind of high? Is it kind of high? Is it kind of high? I think so. I think so. I think the possibility of Trump being impeached, regardless of whoever his candidate is high. Just to be frank, people keep saying, like, everyone's so afraid of Trump, the deep state's so afraid of Trump. There are people who, like, are legitimately concerned about Trump, but I don't think, like, serious players, I think, are really concerned about Trump. I think they keep up with the theatrics because it's good for politics, it's good for fundraising, it's good for clicks and all that stuff. But I think they think that they can dog walk him. I think that Trump likes to make deals. He's passed some bipartisan legislation. He's passed some bills with some goodies for Democrats in there. Lots of spending. He likes to spend money. And if he's really a problem, they'll impeach him. They'll impeach him again. I don't think Chuck Schumer goes to bed at night just terrified that Donald Trump will end up back in the White House. I think they all have contingency plans. And some people think that the contingency plans are like execution. I don't think it's that serious. Someone said, why not Carrie Lake to be the Trump's VP? That would be not a good choice for Trump. Carrie Lake has not served in office at all. She It just what would she add to his ticket other than being popular among some MAGA people who like Carrie Lake? Um, that wouldn't be a good general election ticket. I would think um, if Nikki Haley would have him, I think that probably does make the most sense of what he's probably going to do because people have poured so much money into Nikki Haley. I heard Steve D say that like the Cokes were basically paying a dowry. Like, look at what could happen if you pick our candidate. Um, and Trump does need money. I mean, he's raising money, but a lot of it he needs for his legal bills and other kind of stuff like that. So they're going to need some big amounts of money to even pour into him to fight his legal battles, plus money for ground game and other things like that. So um, I don't know about Christy Nome is a possibility for Trump. I think those rumors with the Corey Lewandowski stuff might hinder a bit, but and from sources I heard, there's not much of a rumor, but um, I don't know. Christy Nome endorsed him pretty early, so she seems pretty. She's going out there hitting it for him, so she could be a possibility. When I thought maybe it was Rand Paul, like I said, I wasn't mad at it. I thought that was an interesting pick. But I don't think that's gonna woo some big donors. The more I think about the Nikki Haley thing, I think it makes sense. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, it's a rumor. But people were speculating that before, and they won't just say no, or Nikki would not say that she wouldn't can actually that she wouldn't turn it down. Trying to think about who else. No, Gnome is a possibility, but no, Gnome could be a strong possibility, but um, I think Nikki makes some particular donors probably happy, and shows that he's willing to play ball. So if it's Nikki Haley, don't be surprised. If it's Nikki Haley, don't be surprised. Again, not a prediction. I don't like to predict. I don't know. I'm just saying interesting things. Let's talk about this Vivek situation with Trump. Um, so Vivek has been a defender of Trump. When he first came in, he, said some things about Trump that were kind of negative, but not too harsh. And then he just very quickly became I'm not going to criticize Trump guy. Even on the last debate stage he was on, not this Iowa one. I can't remember the other city. But it was CNN hosted, was ABC. It was ABC. And I think the opening question was something like, why are you better than Trump, or something? Why should they vote for you over the front runner? And instead of like answering the question, Vivek goes into a rant attacking the media and attacks the RNC chair, Ronna McDaniel, and demands that she resigns that night, which I hear just infuriated Ronna. And I thought that was interesting because she's Trump's girl. She's in that position because of Trump. Trump, picked her in after 2016 election, which, by the way, I do know Ronna. I used to work when I worked in the Michigan Republican Party, she was the chair of the Michigan Republican Party. So she first came into Trump's attention because all the chairs have like a delegate or whatever. And she was the only chair, I believe, in the entire country who pledged their delegate to Trump. And her explanation was that, at least what she would say on the news anyway, was that the people of Michigan voted for Trump. So she decided to back her pledged vote with the rest of the country and respect the voters. And so, well, not the rest of the country, but respect the Michigan voters and back Trump. And I know that she really liked John Kasich, but she pledged her delegate to Trump. And that pretty much put her in the good graces of the grassroots. Michigan, we did have a very good state party. We have had at least a lot of big donors in Michigan and a well-oiled machine. People come all over the country to work in the Michigan Republican Party because they knew that was a good pathway to go work in DC. And Michigan went red for Trump. And so after that, Trump decided to pick Ronna to head the RNC. And we did not have a successful midterm in 2018, though it wasn't like as bad as it could have been. Usually seats flip when it was like all red control. Usually when there's whatever party's in power with the presidency, you have some flips. So we had some flips, and there's a lot of people retiring as well. So that we're anticipating doom. And if we didn't have so many retirements, could we have done better? Probably. But that cycle wasn't so successful. And then 2020 happened. And of course, we didn't lose like as many like congressional seats and stuff. But of course, the presidency was what it was. And so we would say that's another loss. Not as bad as it could have been, but still a loss. And then 2022 was supposed to be a red wave. We did not take the Senate, and our margin of victory was so slim. And the House, so we did not have our red wave. There were red waves in some places, like in Florida, for example. But, another failure there. So when it came to the re-election there, Trump had people who were whipping votes for Ronna. And I don't know how much he needed to do that. I mean, people were very upset with her, but I don't know how much her challenger really challenged her or not. But Trump did want her to win again. He had people whip for Ronna. So I think people in the know that. So to me, it was strange that Vivek would go after Ronna in a question that was about Trump. And there was no connection of like, we need to make sure that Trump isn't the president again, because he's appointing some of these people who are leading the party down in a path of losses. So that was strange to me. So every opportunity where he could criticize Trump, he just opted not to. But he would say things that would got him a lot of clicks. It got him a lot of praise. Benny Johnson actually did the debate prep for Vivek. So I guess he was responsible for the way that he answered that particular question. So again, any opportunity that he could go after Trump, he really wouldn't go after Trump. That has shifted. That has changed big time in Iowa. So the strategy is vote for me, save Trump. And there was actually these guys who showed up, and Vivek posted this picture. It had Trump and his mugshot, I believe it was mugshot. And I could be wrong, but I think it was his mugshot. And his face was like in a picture of Iowa. And it said, save Trump, vote Vivek. And Vivek posted it. And Trump was not happy. Trump wasn't happy at all, and he came for him. And that wasn't the only thing, though. There's his rhetoric with the campaigning is very much around this idea. So I'm going to go ahead and play one video of him talking to a voter about this stuff before I read what like Trump's response was.
And I love that you're a fellow constitutionalist, and you ask some very good questions. Go right to the heart of it.
Yes, and I'm telling you,
Thank you, sir.
they're scared of you. Just
They
like
are.
They're scared of Trump.
Oh,
they are scared.
And they will stop at nothing, but we're not going to let them get away with it. I've got fresh legs. I'm not wounded. And they're not going to let this man do it.
You know, when you
This
said
is why I gotta
eliminate,
win.
that gave me a chill. Because I'm scared.
Because you think it's false, or because you think it's true?
I think it's true. I think they will stop at nothing to stop them. Stop Trump.
It's sad, but it's the truth. It's the sad, but it's the truth. So I'm asking you to do your part, and we're going to.
You know, when
we
I
can do this.
Polls,
we can do this.
Poll, they say, "How do you feel about the United States?" And I say, "I'm worried and I'm fearful."
My job that you don't have to feel that way in this country.
But we're losing it.
We're losing it.
It
pains me to hear that.
We need people like you. Young,
we're going to
vibrant.
do this, and that's what our founding fathers were.
Yes.
It's 1776 moments. So I want your support at that Iowa caucus.
And I get emotional over that.
I'm emotional about this country. I need your support on Monday night. You do this, I'm going to do my part.
Okay, you're picking at my shell. You are.
Yeah.
But you know, I've got commitments.
It's about this country. I know. It's about this country. You want to save Trump, you vote for me. I'm telling you that. You vote for Trump. You're sending him
a sledgehammer.
No, but you're sending him to his own demise. You're falling into the trap that not only a country's falling in, that he's falling. You want to save Trump, you vote for me. I need your support at the Iowa caucus.
That's a good argument. That's a good argument.
It's not an argument, it's the truth. Do the right thing for him and for this country. That's what I'm asking you for.
I will consider.
Thank you.
So that clip is going around. Now, I've seen some people say, "Oh, he sounds so compassionate talking to her." To me, I worked in sales. Always be closing. The ABCs, always be closing. And it just looked like he was trying to close a sale. And granted, you want the vote, okay? He is a pharmaceutical salesman, so just FYI. This woman's pretty distraught. He says demise. I think she thinks that Trump is like, people are concerned about him going to jail. That's a real possibility. But I think some people think that he's going to be offed, and he's just like, just vote for me. Save it, like save him, vote for me. And it rubbed me the wrong way. And anyone in the comments who might be like, "Oh, she's Trump shill." I mentioned something about this beef on a post on YouTube, and someone was like, "Oh, you're God, Trump." I'm like, you haven't been paying that much attention to my content. I do social commentary, political commentary. It's kind of my thing. I find this stuff interesting. When a candidate says something wrong, regardless if I like them or not, I'm going to comment on it. If the candidate says something right and the media comes at them and they're lying, I'm going to comment and defend them, regardless of whether I like them or not. Vivek has gotten my praise. Vivek has gotten my scorn. Nikki Haley has, I'm pretty sure I've said maybe a nice thing or two. Yeah, I've said nice things about her. She's gotten a lot of scorn. DeSantis has gotten some scorn. I mostly like DeSantis. Full disclosure, if I was at the Iowa Caucus today, I'd caucus for DeSantis. Trump has gotten a lot of praise and a lot of scorn as well. I try to be as fair as possible, honest as possible with my assessments. They're my opinions, and I just try to speak my mind regardless of how everyone else will feel. I'm a simp for no one. I'm no one's sycophant, whatever. But in the situation with like the woman, I didn't like it. It made me feel uncomfortable. Again, she was in a lot of emotional distress, but not all conversations are like that. But he'll get up and he'll make the pitch that they don't want Trump to be the person, that they want to narrow the race down between Trump and some kind of puppet. I'm assuming the puppets could be either Nikki or DeSantis, but I think he mostly means Nikki Haley. And I do think that's what they want, just a two-person race between Trump and Haley. But it could be the case that maybe it's going to be narrowed down to the two of them anyway, like on a single ticket. Who knows? We shall see eventually, right? And that they'll want her to basically be the front person. And his pitch is, we're slowly being led into a trap. We are slowly being led into a trap, and we do not need to wake up one day and say, oh, shoot, was there something else that we could have done to avoid this fate of like a Nikki Haley? And he's saying, yes, there's something that you can do. Instead of voting for Trump, you guys can save the whole entire MAGA movement and vote for an America First person like me, because they're not going to come at me like they've come for Trump, or even if they do, I'm a young man, I've got fresh legs, and I can handle this. So it's an interesting pitch, and it's not, I don't know, very different than a lot of other candidates or whatever, but he's just kind of more subtle about it. So that's why I guess Trump said that he was deceitful. Let me just read what he said. Vivek started his campaign as a great supporter, the best president in generations, etc. Unfortunately, now all he does is disguise his support in the form of deceitful campaign tricks. Very sly. But a vote for Vivek is a vote for the other side. Don't get duped by this. Vote for Trump. Don't waste your vote. Vivek is not MAGA. The Biden indictments against his political opponent will never be allowed in this country. They are already beginning to fall. MAGA. So just one thing though, I see people say all the time that Vivek is like a Soros bro or a Democrat plant, etc. Blah blah blah. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. And I know he like won some money for like a scholarship one time. Um, I I just don't think that's the case. um, no, I know he like said some things about the scholarship. Like at one point, he said he needed the money. He really didn't need the money, and he could have just said, "Why wouldn't I take the money?" Which I think is fair, right? So I know there's been some confusion or whatever around that. I know he said something about George Soros, like he said like he took that before George Soros went crazy, and I'm like, I don't know what year he thinks George Soros was not off the deep end. Because I remember being a kid in church, my dad talking about George Soros. Was evil George Soros. So but I don't think Vivek is some kind of left-wing plant. That's not the vibe I get. I think it's more likely that I mean there are reports that he was meant to be like more of a foil to mess up DeSantis's numbers, and I think that makes more sense, especially with him running and not saying anything negative about Trump until this weekend basically. And Trump at this point is saying voting for Vivek is a wasted vote. You need to just continue voting for me. And I've interpreted, or some other people have interpreted, as perhaps Trump's lead isn't as strong as the polls indicate, and he doesn't want to lose a couple of percentage points because they went to Vivek. Because Vivek is actually cutting into his support rather than DeSantis's support. That could be the case, or it really could be the case. He saw online that Vivek was posing with guys that have a save Trump, vote for Vivek, and heard some of the rhetoric and was like, how dare he? And was probably just offended by it. Like, bro, he wouldn't say bro, but I don't need you to save me. That's degrading. And you are trying to deceive people. So this is probably just running through his head, and he just decided to go and attack him at that point. Now, there were some people who were so baffled, like, Vivek has been so kind. Vivek has said so many nice things about Trump. How can he do this? Trump comes for everyone eventually. Have you seen compilation videos of him talking about people that he hired that was in his administration, and eventually said not nice things about them at times when they disobey or don't act accordingly? It should surprise no one, and they're competing against each other. It was going to happen eventually. So let me show this compilation.
The job of Attorney General is to serve and protect the people of the United States. And that is exactly what he will do, and do better than anybody else can. Jeff Sessions was a disaster as Attorney General. Should have never been Attorney General. He's not qualified. He's not mentally qualified to be Attorney General. We hope Bill Barr is going to be as good as we think, because Bill is he's a great gentleman, a great man. And by the way, when Bill Barr, who's, a coward, Bill Barr was a coward. Bill Barr didn't do what he was supposed to do. I fired him, and he has great hatred. In his new role as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley will serve as my top military advisor. I have absolute confidence that he will fulfill his duty with the same brilliance and fortitude he has shown throughout his long and very distinguished career. Milley, frankly, was incompetent. The last one I'd want to attack with as my leader would be Milley. John Kelly will do a fantastic job. General Kelly has been a star, done an incredible job thus far, respected by everybody, a great, great American. I know John Kelly. He was with me, didn't do a good job, had no temperament, and ultimately he was petered out. He was exhausted. This man was totally exhausted. He wasn't even able to function. I am confident that Jay has the wisdom and leadership to guide our economy through any challenges that our great economy may face. And I had my own situation with Powell, and I beat the hell out of him. I was not a big fan of Powell. He was recommended by some people. I didn't like him. We are going to appoint Mad Dog Mattis as our Secretary of Defense. They say he's the closest thing to General George Patton that we have, and it's about time. It's about time. Mattis was a highly overrated general, didn't do the job, didn't do good on ISIS. Mattis was fired, as you know, by President Obama, and I fired him also. Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State. Going to do a great job. He's respected all over the world, and I think he's going to go down as one of our great, great secretaries.
In an angry tweet this morning, he called Tillerson, quote, dumb as a rock and totally ill-prepared and ill-equipped to be Secretary of State.
Mark Esper was a highly respected gentleman with a great career, West Point, Harvard, a tremendous talent, was just named acting Secretary of Defense.
He has said, quote, you were a lightweight, a figurehead. He said Mark Esper was weak, totally ineffective. He said he would do anything I wanted.
Secretary Chow, you've been so fantastic in so many ways. Transportation, it's just moving along, and you've done a fantastic job for me and for the country, and I appreciate all that you do.
In his post on Truth Social, Trump said McConnell, quote, has a death wish and must immediately seek help and advice from his China-loving wife, Coco Chow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and there's more. Like he said that Kayleigh McEnany, who was a press secretary, was milquetoast and some other stuff about her, and she was so great at her job. Oh my gosh, so much better than Biden's folks. Which Trump picked some good press secretaries, but they got better. Spicer, the SNL skit with him was hilarious, but he did okay. Sanders was better, but Kayleigh was fire. So much better than Psaki and Karine. But someone said, you don't do your job, you get fired. They wrote that in the comments, but Trump did pick these people who, he is responsible for appointing and hiring and all that stuff as well. So finger still gets pointed at him, right? So my point is that eventually he's got something to say about everybody. So those of you who are like terribly surprised just because Vivek was saying all these nice things about Trump should not really be surprised in the least bit, because that's just kind of how it goes. And again, they are competing for the same thing. It'd be one thing if it was like really early or whatever, but we actually have a caucus today. So he's still competing for votes that take away from Trump. So why wouldn't he say something? So Vivek has, decided not to really punch back and try to take the high road, and he also made it seem like he never really said anything about Trump, which isn't really the case, because Trump said a vote for Vivek is a wasted vote. I like Vivek, but he played it too cute with U.S. Caucus tonight. Vote for Donald J. Trump. Build up the numbers. In November, we must take our very troubled nation, a nation in decline, back from crooked Joe Biden and the radical left, Democrats and thugs who are destroying it. MAGA. Everything in all caps. Very excited today. And Vivek retweeted it, said, I've defended Trump at every step and respect him immensely. You won't hear me attacking him. I'm asking for your vote tonight because I believe it's the right thing for our country. We cannot walk into the other side's trap and watch the puppet masters quietly trot Nikki into power. By the way, I think he's right that they do ultimately, a lot of powers that be want Nikki, but I don't know if they necessarily need Nikki to be the front person. If there is some kind of deal in the works. But Vivek saying he has not gone for Trump or whatever, will not attack him, whatever. He kind of is, though. He kind of is. He isn't like scorched earth Chris Christie, and he's not as firm as like DeSantis or Nikki Haley. But he is, like, someone asked about Trump serving in his administration. I think this is maybe in his VP spot. And he had some questions that he'd want Trump to answer before he did that.
No. I mean, for the same reason I gave you a flat no to Nikki, I'd need to know that Trump and I were on the same page on a few things. Are you serious about ending the war in Ukraine, or is that just a talking point about a 24-hour deal that you won't say what it is? Are you serious about actually ending the federal subsidies for a carbon capture pipeline, bending the knee to a climate change cult, and saying no to donor money, including from the likes of Bruce Rastetter, if that's necessary to stand for what's right? Will we stop sending these subsidies to the carbon capture pipeline, making its way across half of the state? Are we actually going to follow through and pardon on day one every peaceful January 6th protester, even if it's politically inconvenient, rather than throwing them under the bus as part of some other project? Are we actually going to strip pharmaceutical companies, admit that Operation Warp Speed wasn't what we thought it should have been, and that we can at least acknowledge and learn from that to say that we will strip pharmaceutical companies of their special liability exemptions so that there actually can be justice where there has been injury? Like, are we serious about these things? Are we going to build that new building for the FBI? Because if so, I'm not in. If we're really going to get serious about shutting it down, we can have that conversation. And so I don't have the answers to those questions right now, but those would be minimal conditions for me to even entertain having that conversation. But if that's where we are, and if that's what the people of this country want, there's a better way to do this. And I'm standing right here. I'm on your little ballot tomorrow night. Circle my name. We don't have to do the conditions. We can just get this right through the front door. That's why I'm in this race.
So, that isn't as direct as some of DeSantis's attacks, or, like I said, Chris Christie, but those were attacks. Asking those questions, like, well, you mentioned Jan 6, he mentioned, the Operation Warp Speed. Trump is still like, if you say like, hey, Mr. Trump, this person I know is vaccine injured, like, what are you going to do about that? And he's like, oh, it was just the best operation. It was the best. We did a great job. Like, won't even like acknowledge, people who have been harmed from it. And people do. And there was so much happening at once. And you could say a lot of things in hindsight. So I don't have, a lot of like scoring about things that went wrong during the pandemic or some decisions that he made. There's some decisions that he made that were really annoying. Like how he would come for like Kemp or Georgia for opening on, TV, or he would tweet about it. And he'd tweet about that while like tweeting liberate Michigan or something like that. And I'm like, and he would say like, oh, that's up to the governors to open, but you're clearly criticizing them for opening because you don't want the media to talk about you because they're open. So he's got some issues that I think a lot of people would like to see some humility on how COVID was handled, but that's not Trump style. I think the only time I can really remember him apologizing for anything is the Hollywood Access tape. So as far as like a reckoning happening with like the pandemic, I'm not sure if anyone's really interested in that other than like Ron DeSantis, who has seemed to, there's one video of him like basically coming to tears thinking about the wrong things that they've done and how some of the response have led to people probably dying in like nursing homes and other stuff like that. So Vivek raising these questions is an attack. And he's saying, well, these are open-ended questions that we're not sure about with Trump here, but you could just vote for me instead. And we know. If those are things that you want to stand on, you could just vote for me instead. So I'm not attacking you thing. You are attacking him. You're not like saying nicknames or something along the lines like Trump does. Like he called Nikki Haley bird brain, or he's not making fun of his boots like they are doing with like Ron DeSantis and other stuff like that. But you're in a race. You're criticizing his policies. You're not just saying, "Oh, he was the best. He did this, etc." You're stacking up what he did to what you want to do, and that's fine. You're in a race against each other. That's fine. But you are attacking him. Absolutely. And that's okay. That's okay. But this like, I'm too classy I'm just going to respect you and not take the bait online or whatever. You don't have to respond to him at all. But let's not pretend. Let's not pretend. Someone said Vivek is trying to get the MAGA vote without going for Trump's head. That's been the strategy. And I don't know what his end game overall is. And the way he wouldn't go after Trump for the longest time, it's like, well, he's not a serious candidate. He doesn't really want to win. Does he want to be in his administration? I'm like, he has so much going for him. I don't know. Would that be boring? Or is it a vanity sort of thing? Like did this thing in politics. So my first try, like, I don't know what his ultimate goal was, because it wasn't to compete, because he hasn't really been doing it. But now he's decided to just go for Trump. Still not very hard, because he's still trying to woo Trump supporters, but he is going at him. So we could just be more forthright. It is funny though, because people have mentioned like an issue with DeSantis was that he wasn't nice enough to Trump to get his base or whatever. But I kind of said from jump that if people don't want to vote for someone other than Trump, it's not going to matter what you really say. And I don't think wooing them out of voting for Trump is actually going to be a thing that you could do. Though that's Vivek's, that's his push. But I don't think DeSantis would have found success going that route. I think he probably should have just been more aggressive from jump. He should have like did more interviews from jump. He's really good at interviews. I don't know why he can be so cool with the interviews, but he just can't transfer that same energy to debate. He does fine in the debates, but it's not as natural not as charismatic. I don't know why. Um, I don't know what's the disconnect there. He's just got to keep working on it, I guess. Or maybe it won't matter after tonight. Maybe it won't matter after tonight. Um, someone said Trump equals drama. That's true. I did not plug up my computer. Looking for my other part of my cord. um, so I have no idea what's going to happen tonight, but the Vivek Trump blow up thing is interesting. At the end of the day, people have to run their own race. And my concern, I could list so many reasons why I'm not too fond of Vivek, and I could list lots of reasons why I'm frustrated with Trump. And but I will say, I think concerns about Trump in the general are kind of obvious, but I do have concerns about Vivek in the general too. I don't know if I have enough time to kind of really go through it, but um, at the end of the day, even with Biden's poll numbers, it is unusual for someone to beat an incumbent president. Of course, it's happened before. Um, but people aren't supporting Biden because they like Biden, and that wasn't the case before. But they were voting against Trump, wanted something different, probably wanted less drama. Like there's so many people who are like, I want life to kind of go back to normal. I'm sick of like the chaos or whatever the media has every day about the politics, etc. They just kind of wanted to be able to sleep at night without their fire hatred of Trump burning all the time and just kind of go back to ignoring the news. I think, of course, people are upset about inflation and the the economy as a whole and the border and all sorts of stuff. There's so many reasons to vote for someone who is not a Democrat. Um, I think the Republicans, though, in the House, have kind of been a circus. And I don't know how many people feel a need to vote for a Republican, because at the end of the day, a lot of people will want some kind of competence. And I'm just not 100% sure that people are going to vote for someone with no executive experience as far as like running, a town, running a you know, a state, any sort of government experience for someone who's an incumbent president. Um, I think that's a hard ask for a lot of people. I think Vivek's history with the Alzheimer's drug is going to be a beautiful thing for Democrats to put on a mailer, especially since, like, with the California teachers pension fund lost a lot of money going into it. And I know he's explained that many a times. But the day he went on CNBC, he talked about a particular study. There was like 600 and something people in it. His company, he didn't actually do that study. That study was done by the company he bought it from. And in that study, it was a failed study. And they just kind of tweaked that study and reworked it so that to show that, oh, it was actually successful. So a big question that I've had, and I have, tried to get an answer on this, is why didn't they just do a new study before trying to get people's money, before going on CNBC, because it had failed trials, and you just want to be more thoughtful of people's money and the risk that they're putting into your company for a very risky drug. And he's done a lot of interviews, had a lot of talks about it. I think it's a failure that's near and dear to his heart. But people have explained it like a pump and dump stock sort of thing. And he's had to explain it, talk about it a lot. And there's a lot of Vivek people in here, so I'm sure you've heard this before. But as far as them not doing the study themselves. I think that's going to be something that, like on a mailer, that would just, I could just imagine a million mailers going out about that. Um, some of the positions that he's taking, I think they are fine. But I think, well, I've heard people complain about him trying to get rid of birthright citizenship, because he was born here to a mother who was here legally but not a citizen, and his father still isn't a citizen. And so people feel like he's coming in and closing the door behind him. So those are the sort of criticisms I've heard from people on the left, and not far left, but on the left, in the middle, whatever. There's the raising the voter age thing, and the he didn't vote until what, 2020, right? Or he voted libertarian, I think, once before that. Um, I if we did raise the voting age, it would probably save the country. But to be frank, but is it fair? I was a pretty there's a lot of kids, man. I can usually peg someone's age by the kind of comments they leave. So I know that kids have really bad takes politically. I was a very knowledgeable young voter though. So I know you could do like according to what he wants to do, you can pass a citizenship test, or you could do some kind of civic duty or whatever to be eligible to vote. But making people jump through hoops, it just doesn't leave a good taste in a lot of people's mouth, especially knowing that he wasn't involved until fairly recently and didn't vote earlier. So another situation that, I'm not saying these are terrible ideas, but I think people would struggle with him being the advocate for them. So there's other reasons I could list, but just some of them off the top of my head. Someone's asked me how old am I? I don't know how many comments you left. When I say I can usually peg someone how old they are, I'll be on TikTok and people, the kind of comments that people will leave, I'll be like, this person is under 23. This person is under 18. This person is 22 or something. And I'll go to their profile and I'll usually be right. We'll have to have kind of more of a conversation for me to know, but if you're older than 23, I think your comments usually start making more sense. But I don't know off the top of my head, but but on TikTok I'm usually right. Anyway, I'm gonna have to let you guys go. I know I said I would explain well, a quick explanation of why I was on hiatus. I had done some different I had like some kind of reaction with my skin on Monday, and I tried to do kind of a deep cleanse or something, and the deep cleanse with some it ruined my face. So I just needed it to heal. And so I just decided to relax a bit. And when I did the deep cleanse stuff, it was like, I don't know, acid on my face. It was kind of like the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. But so it was up there. So it was like bleeding and scabby and broken out, and just so I got some different stuff, and it's better. It's basically looks like nothing happened. So I just needed to give myself some time to heal. So that's what happened, kind of in a nutshell. So someone said you break out. I sometimes I am a human, but yeah, it was my sister said they didn't think it looked that bad, but it was it really hurt too. Like, I went to bed in pain and I woke up in pain, and it felt like it was really bad on Monday night when I went to sleep, and it still hurt the next day. But it was felt like really bad sunburn. Oh, thank you. My sister said I was still beautiful. I appreciate that. But yeah, so I got I don't know what caused the initial sort of distress and the irritation, but I did go back to my foundation I had before. I got new blush and all sorts of different stuff just to be on the safe side. I start using this particular cream. I got different soap. So it was I'm better. So that's what happened. Anyway, my computer is about to die. I don't know where my plug is. So thank you guys so much for being with me today. Tomorrow we'll have a pretty someone said glad you're okay. Thank you. Thank you guys for caring. You guys were so sweet when I said I needed some time to myself. You guys are very, very sweet. We'll have a big show, I guess, tomorrow to look at the fallout of everything that happened in Iowa. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Either Trump is about to sweep this entire thing, or there's going to be some upsets. So, I'm on pins and needles. I'm on pins and needles. Thank you guys. Please go to my website, blacktnews.com. Check out different content there, different videos, different articles, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website. Check out different merch that we have there, like the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For, this cool Be Better Not Bitter shirt, all kinds of stuff. I got mugs, etc. Check out some of my books. God bless you guys, and I'll catch you tomorrow.